Death has always fascinated and terrified humanity, and in the Middle Ages, it was never far from daily life. Between war, famine, and plague, people lived in the shadow of mortality. But what makes this period so unique are the rituals and beliefs surrounding death and burial. In medieval Europe, the church dominated burial practices. To rest in consecrated ground was considered vital for salvation. Most burials took place in churchyards, with the dead lying close to holy relics and saints. Nobles and the wealthy fought for spots nearest the church walls. Ordinary folk, however, were often laid in simple graves with wooden markers, if any at all. For the poor, death meant anonymity, their memory entrusted only to the soil. Preparation for burial was deeply ritualized. As death approached, priests performed last rites, ensuring the soul's readiness for judgment. After passing, the body was washed, wrapped in shrouds, and sometimes sprinkled with holy water. Candles were lit, bells rang through villages, and processions wound through the streets. Funerals were public acts of devotion and warning. Memento mori, or remember you must die, was a way of life. For rulers and nobles, death was grander. Kings were often buried in richly carved tombs, sometimes with effigies depicting them in eternal prayer. In some cases, their bodies were divided, hearts, entrails, and bones placed in different sacred sites, symbolizing their power. Richard the Lionheart, for example, had his heart buried in Rouen, his entrails in Poitou, and his body in Anjou. Commoners, by contrast, were placed side by side in crowded graveyards, often forgotten within generations. Not all burials were ordinary. Fears of the supernatural shaped strange and chilling practices. Archaeologists have uncovered graves where bodies were pinned with stones, decapitated, or even buried face down. These were believed to prevent the dead from rising as revenants or vampires. In some regions, corpses were staked through the chest to keep them in the grave. Such customs show the depth of medieval superstition, a world where death was final, but fear of the restless dead was real. The Black Death of the 14th century transformed burial customs dramatically. The plague killed millions, overwhelming cemeteries and priests alike. Mass graves became the norm, with bodies stacked and covered in quicklime to reduce the stench. Ceremonies were brief or absent, and families often could not mourn properly. Yet even in this chaos, efforts were made to honor the dead. Simple prayers, a sprinkling of holy water, or a cloth shroud marked a desperate attempt at dignity. Burial was also a reflection of belief in the afterlife. The concept of purgatory was central. This belief fueled prayers for the dead, funeral masses, and donations to monasteries, all meant to ease the soul's passage. Wealthy families commissioned chantries, chapels where priests prayed daily for deceased relatives. For medieval people, death did not end relationships. The living continued to aid the souls of the departed. Medieval tombs themselves were powerful symbols. Stone effigies depicted the dead in peace, eyes raised to heaven. Others were far darker. Transite tombs portrayed corpses in decay, skin rotting, bones protruding. These chilling monuments were not meant to horrify, but to remind the living of life's brevity and the need to seek salvation. Every tomb was a message, some of hope, others a warning. As the Middle Ages drew to a close, burial practices began to change. Urban growth demanded larger cemeteries outside city walls. More rules regulated where and how the dead could be buried. Yet the essence remained. Death was not hidden, but confronted. Cemeteries stood at the heart of communities, constant reminders of life's fragility and faith's promise.